Today we're with David Schuurman, an amazing cinematographer I knew for not too long right now, actually, since end of last year. Like, how did you get started as a cinematographer?
Circumstance, I guess, of me being a crappy skateboarder and led me to a lifelong career in filmmaking as a DP. So it's kind of like a skateboarding and then volunteering at the local community channel, then go to college for television, try and get a job in television, not really do that, move out west, start filming snowboarding, do a lot of snowboard filming, and then start filming weddings and do a lot of weddings, and then meet other people and start doing promos because I'm filming the weddings of people who have businesses, and then I'm doing business videos and then corporate videos and then music videos because I meet some director here or whatever, right? And then music videos like commercials and features. That's kind of the stacked trajectory.
When you got started shooting your friends, is there another camera person or cinematographer or director that influenced you to keep going? Like you would see their work and you would just say, you know what, that's the person I want to emulate right now because I got
No.
all these people around me. Or no, that didn't
No,
happen.
not at all. Because I wasn't like into like filmmaking at all, or I wasn't into film. I wasn't like I didn't I didn't grow up even like having a television in the house. So we like before I was 15, I'd watched like the same dozen movies probably 100 times, and that's it. You know, so there's a huge gap in film knowledge perhaps, or like history. Like I haven't seen a whole lot of films from that from my youth, but no, I wasn't like super into like certain even like skate filmers. There's like certain guys that film skateboarding that are like super
Yeah,
dope,
that's what I was gonna ask you that.
but
Yeah.
no, but like I wasn't even into that. I was just kind of into the skateboarding, and then filming it, and like we would just do like skits and stuff like that, and it was always fun to do that. I guess it was like, I guess now that I think about it, there my early like uh filmmaking like inspirations were Jackass,
It
which
was
was
a
which was huge at the time.
yeah. Oh my
So
god.
I mean,
So
really
like like was
highbrow
it
stuff
Bam
here. So
Margera and all those other guys?
yeah.
Yeah, I used to. Yeah, I remember those back. Yeah. Oh my god.
I love the type of guy that always emulate that stuff and film that stuff. So the filming, it wasn't like the filming where I'd be like, oh, and we're gonna get it's gonna be this sick shot of like this beautiful thing that happens, and it's gonna be, it's gonna call back to this earlier scene that we did. It was just more like, and then we'll point the camera at it, and it'll be so fun. So.
Did you at any point do photography as well, or is this just straight video?
Mm, I mean, no, not really. I just kind of like picked up straight video. It was just I liked telling like I like telling stories like skits and stuff like that, right? So it was just fun to kind of put that stuff together. And then when I was like 12, my parents got the very first like iMac that
Oh
came
yeah.
out, and it was
Is it
like
the
one of
color
those.
one?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
had that too. Yeah,
Did you? So we got one that it was like the like top of the line edition, and we had never owned like a computer or anything before that. It was just like a family friend started working for Apple, and we are just like, my parents were just like, oh yeah, we'll like drop a stack on this computer that was super awesome, and it had
yeah.
iMovie on it, and I was like, oh, what's this? And so I'm like, I got the camera, I got the footage. I'm gonna start editing in this iMovie thing. And I put together like a snowboard video of me and my siblings snowboarding, and I edited it together, and then and it was like all in iMovie, and this was like the first iMovie, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
Um, and so I showed it to my family. They thought it was amazing. That I put like music, and I put like a title that like zoomed in at the top. It was like day in the life, Sherman kids at Glen Eden, right? And and then uh, the family friend that worked at Apple took it and like played it in like the Apple store,
hmm
and it was just looping all day in the Apple store, this edit that I did, and basically she was using it
Wow.
as a sales tactic, like look what a 12-year-old kid can do with this thing. And so I remember like my dad packing me in the car, and like he and I drove to the Apple store just to just to watch my video play on the Mac at the Apple store. And that was like the coolest thing. So that was one of the early like core developing memories, or like experiences of like what led me into kind of this field.
So after that, how did it progress to doing this professionally? Did you go to school?
I started volunteering at a local TV station,
Hmm.
like the community access channel type of thing, and I would do their weekly, like a couple of weekly shows, and I started, getting on with the local directors that did the shows there, and
As a
and then
camera assistant?
as like a anything, you'd go
Oh, okay.
and you'd show up. It's the community cable is just all volunteer run with that type of stuff, and then whoever shows up, they like assign a certain job to you, and you do whatever. It's broadcast television, so it's not like super sexy, but that was kind of the first
It could
foray.
be. Could be.
I guess for me, I mean, I liked it at the time, but like I didn't have like a full time job, and I was still in high school, and I was more into over the next like probably until I was like 25, probably until I was 25, like I was primarily about snowboarding and filming snowboarding and or skateboarding and filming skateboarding than I
Hmm.
was about filmmaking. So at once, and maybe that was just because I wasn't making a lot of money doing it, but my first jobs were, I can't even tell you what my first like actual paid job was. It might have been like a snowboard thing. I don't know. So long ago, those memories are getting foggy. But I just started like doing like my entire life. Every job I've ever gotten has been just from who I know, who I hang out with, and do things that I like outside of filmmaking with.
Because in the beginning, you started off recording your friends, and then later on working at the station. So is there a point where you wanted to create your own content rather than just waiting for people?
Well, I guess I was creating my own content from the very beginning. Like there was definitely a point much more recently where I made a decision like that. Like I had been filming all this snowboard stuff, and then I started getting into weddings, and I was like, wow, this I could build an actual business filming weddings. And it was like one of the dopest decisions I think for me to make at the time, because my work went from like whatever it was filming, and I went to filming like people in the best makeup in like dope locations in like really nice clothes. You know what I mean? Like everything is ready there for you. So I had a wicked reel of stuff that I never would have had before, and then I was building a business, shooting weddings, and then 5 years later, this is probably 5 years ago or 6 years ago maybe, I was like, I have got to stop filming weddings. Well, you get to a point, and I think it's this way for a lot of people. And the realization that I came to was that I don't want to film things that would exist whether I was there or not,
Mm.
right? I want to be filming things that exist only because I'm there, and not me specifically, but like on that feature that we did, if there wasn't a camera rolling, none of that would be happening. Whereas all the weddings that I'd shot, if there wasn't a camera rolling, they would still be happening. You know, all the events or marketing like activations and stuff that I've done in the past, they would all still be happening if there wasn't someone filming it. You know what I mean?
So you want to be part of the process of creating this world rather than you
Yeah,
want to be a factor in this world that they're creating, whether it's you
yeah,
or a team of people, and then you're that piece that makes it work.
totally. Like I wanted like my decisions to matter more, and or to be like taken more seriously. You know,
Hmm.
like I didn't want to feel like if I want to make a decision that is going to make everything better, that it would that would have to consider this, that, and the other thing. And now I know that I still have to do that anyway. But um, yeah, it's just
It's a certain process,
things
yeah.
that it's just different, right? Like things that happen without a camera there are going to happen whether a camera is there or not, right? And they're going to happen sort of mostly the same way. So I can't affect that.
Since then, how's your career developed once you made that decision to say, you know what, I want to be a factor in the work that I'm a part of?
yeah, once I did that, I shot I shot one more wedding after that, which was to help a friend, and from then on was like I actually did a lot. I did a bit more like activation videos for marketing companies. So I guess that was kind of my easing out of it. But if I do a wedding, it's going to lead to more weddings mostly. If I
Yeah.
do a music video, it's going to lead to more music videos mostly. You know.
Hmm.
Um, so once I did that and started focusing on the work that I wanted to do, then more of it came. Hopefully, once this is all over, it will continue to.
How are you handling this current situation?
Well, really well. Actually, I mean, I've said it a few times to people, but like, aside from people like dying and getting sick, this has been a really nice time for me, you know? At least for me, what has been amazing about this time is that I can do all the little things that I have had kind of um, in the lineup and without having to worry about um, like if I take a week off to work on a personal project, or if I take a week off to like um, do a renovation on my house, or like just take a week off to do something, or a couple days off, in the back of my mind is like everyone else out there is working today,
Hmm.
right? Or everyone else that's still working today is like progressing career wise more than I am right now. At least in this
Mm.
moment they are. And so like taking that idea and like expanding it to be like a little bit less rigid. um, it's freeing to kind of feel like I can do whatever I kind of want to do to kind of step back and build up these building blocks of who I am and what I do, that aren't super critical, but I
Hmm.
want to do without
Yes.
feeling like I'm falling behind on the things that are super critical, like keeping a career going and doing good work and making money and building relationships and all that stuff, right?
So
Yeah,
during this time, do you feel that for creatives and in your case as a cinematographer, you need to stay relevant because in this day and age of everything's quicker, Instagram and you name it, like if you don't create something even during this whole time, even if it's something small, 2 minute, 1 minute, even if it's smaller than that, doesn't matter, that you feel like you'll be irrelevant or you'll be forgotten.
it can happen. Um, but I don't really feel that because like I guess I'm not too worried. Like broad strokes, I'm not too worried about the getting work after this,
Hmm.
because a lot of the people that I get work from are people that are personal friends anyway,
And they know your
and
work.
then yeah, and they don't need to see that I'm constantly posting work, to give me jobs. But sure, like the extra work beyond that, especially, and obviously that stuff isn't going to sustain me forever. But um, like I'm not posting work that I'm doing on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. I don't feel the need to do that. What I feel the need to do though is do something, you know, and share that. Like everyone's sharing like things that they're cooking, right? But like even just doing that, I feel like at a certain level, and I'm not necessarily at that level, but and maybe that level is just different all the time. But at a certain level, it doesn't really matter the work that you're doing. It just matters like the how interesting you are as a person, or how nice you are, like all that stuff,
Yes, I
So
agree.
basically, my point is, I would rather fill my Instagram feed, say, with like me playing with my kids and putting up shelves and making food and like stuff like that, than me at work. If
Yeah.
because people are gonna relate to me more, maybe,
Yeah,
or
because
half
they'll see you
50-50.
as they'll see you as a human and not some
Yeah,
robot.
yeah, exactly. Plus, I'm not doing any work anyway, so I have nothing to post.
Do you feel it's testing you? This whole situation is kind of testing you, as we're talking right now, to be more creative because now you have so much time that what if I created this? I didn't have the time, or it just
Totally.
whatever it might be.
Like I'm sitting at like I'm sitting on like some personal projects that I'm getting done, and like I'm taking a few more pictures around the house, See, like I don't really like see like cool shafts of light and take pictures of my wall, too often, but I've been doing it lately. So, so that's me.
Is there a time throughout your career that you felt you didn't want to do this at all? Like you were like, you know what, I need to take a break for a while or a hiatus or something like that?
I think so. And I honestly, like, now that you say that, and it reminded me of a time like a year ago, or maybe like a year and a half ago, where I kind of felt like taking stock, but I don't even remember what the catalyst for that was. You know,
Hmm.
I think it was just that I was working a lot of really long days on shoots that were ill. Maybe the I felt like the amount of work that I was doing, or the amount of effort I was exerting, wasn't really matching the output that I was wanting, and
So,
whether that was my fault or not, like it just kind of started to burn me out a bit.
so you felt like what you were working on was not going anywhere.
Totally, yeah. Like, and that sounds, I guess that to me, when you say it coming from my mouth, it sounds like kind of like I'm too cool for school, you know? Like oh, like I'm doing all this like awesome work that is just not like developing me very much because I'm already so developed. It's not that. It's just like, I don't know, like you do enough of the same thing over and over again, even if it's not all that much. Don't oh, I know what it is. It's like when I'm not like afraid of like the next day's shoot a little bit, you know, when I'm not concerned about what might happen and how I'm going to deal with something, I feel like I'm a bit too comfortable maybe.
Yeah, you get it. Every person in any creative field kind of gets into that slump of this, whatever it might be, repetitive work or similar repetitive work. Throughout your career, is there a point where you had a like a funny experience on set?
Oh, like I'm sure there's plenty. Um, there's like, I mean, there's a lot of situations. There's situations that happen that aren't funny, but they're like your jaw drops, you know, and you're just like, or you think back on it, like just thinking back on like the feature. There's a few moments that we did. There's a few moments that I was just like thinking back on it, like at the end of the day, or like a couple days later, and being like, what? Like, how on earth did all that happen on one day, or something like that, you know? But like funny things that happen on set, like it. I think just the funny things aren't even like filmmaking related. They're just like there's um, a couple people that like I work a lot with, and then we just have camaraderie. And there's one director in particular, Ben, that I shoot a ton of stuff with. We share the same type of humor. We share the same inside jokes, and we're just like constantly just like joking around on set. And it probably brings the pace of the day down a bit, but it brings the energy of the day up, you know. And so, stuff just gets sometimes just is funny on set, and it's not funny. Like I had the one thing that comes to mind is like we just all of a sudden a bunch of us started talking about how funny it would be to just like be chugging like this jug of ranch that was right there. Not that that's not funny, but howling because you're probably low on energy. And
Being on set, it's at a, you start off with sometimes familiar faces or new faces,
mhm,
and at by the end or the midpoint, you're like you know these people to a certain point that
yeah.
your guard is down, you're more comfortable with them. Things start to become weird and absurd and funny just to pass the time in between scenes.
You know, and like I end up working with the same people over and over again a lot. I think back on the first day with the whole crew, and then the last day with the whole crew, and like it's like all of a sudden it's like we're, oh, are we best friends? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I feel like I'm best friends with everybody from day one. So
It's like,
at
yeah,
least
you
I
grow
try.
to know in the beginning you're kind of a little bit awkward and weird. You're like, will people get my humor? Will people get my weirdnesses and my eccentricities? So
Totally.
it's a weird thing you develop on set.
I think it's like a I think it's like a you bond over like shared experiences, right? And you tend to bond more over experiences that are shared, that are not quite ideal, you know, when everyone's suffering together. And
Yes.
that tends to, you know, that happens a lot where it's not like the worst thing in the world, but like it's not an ideal situation that you're in, and everyone's just trying to make the best of it, and it kind of brings people together maybe.
After this, do you feel like you're going to change your whole approach? Like in terms of professionally, like would you start directing?
Um, I mean, I do direct sometimes anyway, but I don't. I mean, I don't really want to be a director. I like directing the 5 projects a year that I direct, you know,
Hmm.
but I don't think so. Like, other than, you know, me not like shaking hands with people after this, like, I don't think it's going to change like how I conduct my career, you know. Maybe I'll um I actually I did. I was thinking like a month or like 2 months ago. I was like, I like periodically I take on edit projects or projects that I produce, shoot, edit. You know what I mean? I just do it all. And they're smaller projects, but like they end up always like conflicting with other things, and it becomes a real headache to complete. And I was like, man, I gotta stop taking on things that I need to edit myself. You know?
Uh,
And then this whole thing happened, and I was like, actually, you know what? I'll probably keep 1 or 2 of those around just in case, you know, because
yeah,
having stuff that you can do at home in a pinch is pretty clutch, you know.
the way the industry is going, do you feel there's a certain trend that is not helpful to cinematographers?
Yeah, things needing to happen faster and faster. The pace is not helpful. Um, I mean, it's helpful to pocketbooks, but which is fine and dandy. Just things needing to happen faster is not ideal. And then I'm I'm in a situation. I'm in like a spot where I do a lot of everything myself
Hmm.
as a DP, and I don't often work with big crews. You know, my average crew is like usually for 80% of the jobs that I do, I have like 3 people working under me or 4 people maybe, and that's all fine and dandy. But I think expectations getting higher for what that amount of people can accomplish, both from me and production, is not necessarily helpful to being a
Hmm.
D. Um, other than that, I mean, everything I think is getting making it easier to be a DP.
I can see.
I think I think
Yeah.
actually another thing that kind of, because you know I'm not the the majority of the things that I shoot are shorter form, right, and faster pace,
Hmm.
and so one thing that hurts or hinders me or what I want to do as a DP is the pace of things, right?
Hmm.
The type of shots that say that someone would that would make it into an edit like 30 years ago or 40 years ago. There's like, you know, it's like a 25-second shot that's like, let's say it's like a establishing shot in this thing. It's like the pace of things is
Yeah.
just so much faster now, and so the amount of time spent on each shot is lower, and then what you can do with each shot is also more limited.
Do you feel that, so talking about the pace of things, you're right. In older films, there's like the opening scenes would be a lot more extravagant, more longer. You know,
Yeah.
you have more time to get into the vibe of the film. Some people hate that, some people love it, but do you feel that that would come back, or is it more of it's economical to just get right to the point?
um, well, I don't know with features, but the if it's anything like music videos, with music videos, like there has to be some hot action within 5 seconds,
Yeah.
right? Because every music video, like they know that they're going to have a pre-roll ad for it, right?
Hmm.
And so they need that first 5 seconds where you can't click skip to be impactful. So you can't really have a music video that and whatever, right? So that doesn't necessarily translate to feature films or narrative, but that same idea of the like surrounding economics of of the thing impacts how it's implemented.
Hmm. So
remains the same.
yeah, I guess it depends on the format and the use of the footage and how it's
Yeah,
going to be. If it's in the music video, it has to be on point. Get to the. But then it depends also too. You can if it's a new artist, you have to go right to the point. Maybe if it's an established artist, you can have a lot more leeway in terms of longer videos. You know what I mean?
sure. Like
Well,
Justin Bieber, like I don't remember when Justin Bieber started like having his like buddy shoot all his music videos, and they were terrible. But it's like, who cares? They still get a billion views,
yeah, because
you know?
he already had the fans, so he can put
Yeah,
out anything he wanted. Yeah, it's yeah. I guess it all depends on the artist. There's artists that I like that I won't mention, but would have long intros and it would just be beautiful. You would enjoy it. You'd already know the
totally.
song, you already know the music, and it depends on the viewer and how long they have, how much patience they have, if they're independent or if they're with a label. So it all depends on that. Do you feel? Do you think you would ever get into more of a bigger budget features?
I'm like, I guess I would. I mean, yeah. Would I do something? Would I accept like a $500 million film? Of course.
The next Michael
you know,
Bay?
yeah. It's like, hey, Dave, this is a really like outlandishly massive jump in budget for you to handle. Hey, do you think you can handle it? But I mean, I think that everything's just incremental. Like 10 years ago, I couldn't fathom like even doing a project that had a director. 10 years ago, I wasn't doing projects that had both a director and a DP, you know?
Mm.
Um,
You were both, I'm assuming, back then.
yeah, pretty much like I was everything, you
Yeah.
know? But I remember when I was in school and with one of my friends at the time, she was saying that um, she's like, we were trying to arguing back and forth about whether you need a director and a DP or whether the DP and director can be the same thing on low budget things, right? And she was like adamant that like no, you have to have a director and a DP, and I was adamant that like no, the director can be the DP, and it's like much more efficient that way. And like my opinion on that has changed, but like we established like a $5,000 budget as like the point where you would have a director and a DP, and I
Hmm.
mean that probably still stands a bit, but depends what it is.
Do you? Well, I guess it depends on how a person became a DP in a sense. Like, what's their background?
Yeah,
In your case, you were always doing everything yourself, so you were
yeah,
used to wearing multiple hats within one project.
totally. But
But
like even
now,
still now,
now you feel like you've started to like in a sense like you want the separation because you can strictly focus on that and do the best cinematography you can, and the director will do what they do.
totally. Like if yeah, like I can like if I'm the best hat maker, but someone wants me to make them a full outfit and a nice hat, the hat's probably going to suffer because I'm spending all my time making that outfit. But then if I get the best tailor, the best designer, whatever, then I can focus on the hat. They can
So,
focus on everything else.
do you feel do you feel that for younger up and coming I would say camera people because they won't necessarily fit into one thing because they want to do everything. Do you feel that in the beginning it's good to
Yeah,
be a jack of all trades?
yeah, definitely. I think there's like benefit to both being a jack of all trades in this industry. That's like a videographer, right?
Hmm.
Um, but there's also benefit to being like a to doing like the PA, camera PA, train, like you know what I mean,
Yeah.
um, and working your way up through the ranks and like doing like a single job underneath other people that are doing a different job, right?
Hmm.
There's benefit to both those things, but I think that I at least I connect more with the mindsets of people who started from doing everything themselves and slowly
Yes.
started adding people around them, because those people have I feel like they have the creative like brain for like I'm doing this, join me, you know what I mean, from day one, you
I
know,
agree. I totally agree.
instead of like these are the building blocks that we'll use type of method. So that's I just connect with that maybe because that's been me, but um, yeah. you can't make a dope feature or commercial or anything with a whole bunch of people who are just videographers, you know? So
Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see that
see a
video.
bunch of people running around with their Ronin S's and A7S's and
That would
doing
the only way that would work is
travel
if
transitions and face stapling.
seriously, I would somebody do that. Whoever's listening to this, just do that. That would be amazing. Um, no, I totally agree with that. That's the way I started. I would do, like I said, everything because I
Yeah.
had to because of budget or time constraints, or you can't, sadly, you can't always wait for people. And there's an idea or a project that you want to do,
Yeah.
and people are not available, or there's no one that you know that can do that. So you're teaching yourself to do that. Do
Hmm.
you feel you've been
Totally.
in those do you feel you've been in those scenarios of you had to teach yourself something because you couldn't find the right person for that job?
Absolutely. I've done that more times than I can count. But like that kind of leads me to another thought that I one of my like core beliefs in this industry is that I feel like everybody needs to produce. Everybody needs to be a producer at some point,
Hmm.
because you're not gonna you need to be the person who is responsible for making a production on budget, on time, and be good, and you know what I mean, all those things. You need to be the one who's actually like has the fire under them to do it,
Hmm.
because otherwise you won't get you won't have the understanding to you, you know if you don't have that experience, then you're just more one-dimensional in your beliefs about what the industry is like or should do or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I think everyone should produce, and I've had to produce like so much in my life, I still do, and I like producing things sometimes. um, but like it's all just like, whether it's being a DP or producing or directing or building something in the backyard or something, whatever it is, it's what I like about everything is the problem solving aspect,
Hmm.
and the chance to create something myself to solve a problem is what I like. And so when I produce, if you produce something where you have to wear all the hats, there's a lot of opportunity there um, to have those situations where you need to learn something and create something and figure something out, come up with a solution.
I totally
Like,
agree.
I don't know if I've shot a bunch of I've shot a bunch of music videos that have been low budget. They've been passion projects. They've been for friends and whatnot. And I've had these come up with like these elaborate ideas that it's like, well, we can't actually, it's going to be really hard to make this work for like 5 grand, but like I'm going to throw everything I am at it, right? And so I'm producing it, and then I'm figuring out like how to manufacture like this piece of wardrobe. I'm figuring out like how I'm figuring out how like what I'm going wardrobe shopping, and I'm going like figuring out like story, and I'm figuring out like what the light is going to do on the day, and I'm figuring out crew, and I'm figuring out catering or crafty, and I'm figuring out, and I'm like, oh shit, how do I get like 20 people to this location? And, oh, you know what I mean? There's all these things all of a sudden that I need to solve, and that's kind of fun after you've solved it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's if you can learn how to be a good problem solver and how to recruit the right people because you've done it yourself, you put yourself in those
Yeah,
situations, I think it makes you a better creative person, really, because you can
totally.
assign these projects or assign these roles to the right people because you know exactly what needs to be done. So I totally agree.
Totally.
Totally agree. Do you have any advice for any up and coming cinematographer? Really?
I think my advice is that lean into what it is that you like about filmmaking that isn't the actual picture gathering, and figure out how you can keep that part of it going forever. Like, I like the problem solving portion of it, and And so if I'm not solving the problems, then maybe it's less fun to be the DP if everyone else is solving the problem for me.
Hmm.
So my advice would be to do things the way you want to do them. Don't do them because there's an established way of doing them. You'll eventually fall into the established way of doing them because that's probably the best way. But
Yes.
if you spend your time trying to be like, well, you know, a DP would have a first assistant, a second assistant, and a trainee would shoot on Alexa, would do this. If someone wants to, if you, like, have you DP something and you think that you can get it like on your GoPro by yourself, then that's, if that'll be fun for you, then that's the advice I would give you to do, is just don't worry about doing things the right way, unless it's safety related.
Is there any final words you'd like to part to other cinematographers?
I always like flying by the seat of my pants a little bit, and I like just figuring out where things are going, and not not like planning myself into a corner with things, and I like doing things myself, and I like that kind of scrappy DIY way of filmmaking, um, and so I just think that like if people do that and and want to keep doing that, then they should keep doing that, and not worry about what the big boys are doing, and not worry about when that $500 million feature is going to come knocking, because it'll come. At least for me, I hope it does.
It'll definitely come.
But like on that thought, I'm not going to get a $500 million feature next year, but
You never
maybe
know.
I'll get a $5 million feature, and then maybe I'll get a $10 million feature, and then maybe a 20 or $50 million feature. You know what I mean?
You never know. Somebody
That's the
could
way it
be
the
somebody
way it
could be
goes.
writing something, and then they would say David, and then you get that
Yeah,
call.
and that's what
Whatever you
happens.
want, David. Whatever camera, whatever, anything you want, it's gonna happen.
Hey, here's another thought for you, and I sort of talked about it a little bit earlier, but because this is like one of the core thoughts that I came away from shooting that feature that we were on, um, that like it is really not important to be good at at your job. It's just important to be like, um, it's just important to be a person that people want to be around,
Yeah.
and that like you are responsible for the attitude and the vibe on set. If everyone took responsibility for for the vibe and attitude that was brought to set, then every set would be a wonderful place, and if things aren't going well, or if things aren't like the the um, the best thing you've ever done, like it doesn't matter, or like you don't have to be the best. You just have to be the person that people want to be around, and you'll have a wonderful, successful career.
Totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree. All right, sir. It's been awesome. Definitely, I'm
That's
gonna
been awesome.
gonna talk to you again for sure because I want to recap of people that I talked to. So probably
Do
after
like
this,
a yeah, do
like a
like a
post.
a post quarantine thing.
Yeah.
Like, what was your first shoot like coming back from this after not working for 3 months? Were you super rusty? Did everything go wrong? Yes, thought so. You know?
Or it could be the fact that you got that big budget film. You never know.
Yeah. Oh man,
It's
you'll be
like
the
you were
first
right,
person to
man.
know. You'll be
Oh
the
my god.
first person to know.
I say it's gonna happen.
I'll take that bet.
All right, David. It's been awesome. This is
Has
my
been. Thank you.
and David. All right. Peace, people.